Let's be honest, in a world that changes this fast, your job security doesn't really come from your company anymore. It comes from your ability to adapt, to evolve. That's why we're going to talk about continuous learning. It's not just some corporate buzzword, it's probably the single most important skill for making sure your career is future-proof. About 20 years ago, a senior bank manager said this exact sentence, and wow, does it capture a mindset that has become a huge career liability. That right there? That's the sound of someone being left behind, all because their entire industry was about to get a massive shakeup.
So what was actually happening? Well, the banking world was going through this radical transformation. The old model, where the branch manager was basically a king sitting in a private cabin, that was on its way out. New private banks came in with open plan offices and this wild new idea of focusing on the customer. It was a complete game changer.
Now, for a lot of the senior folks, this didn't feel like an exciting new era. It felt like a threat. Suddenly, they were being asked to learn all these new skills, customer service, marketing, sales, stuff that was totally foreign to them. And their resistance, it wasn't just them being stubborn, it was a defense mechanism. They were fighting against becoming irrelevant.
So how do you fight that instinct? How do you stay relevant? It really boils down to this powerful three-part cycle that builds a career that can withstand anything. It's all about learning, unlearning, and relearning.
At its heart, continuous learning just means you're always on the lookout for new knowledge and skills. And I'm not talking about that one mandatory training session you have to click through every year. No, this is an ongoing, self-motivated drive to constantly update your own personal toolkit.
And here's how that cycle actually works. Learning new things, that's usually the easy part. The hardest step, by a long shot, is the second one, unlearning. This means you have to actively let go of the old ways of doing things, the very methods you might have spent years mastering. And if you don't do that crucial step, you can't ever really relearn and adapt to what's next. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? The point isn't to get to some finish line where you finally know everything. In today's world, there is no finish line. The whole point is to just stay on that journey of improvement, always evolving both your skills and how you think. Now, here's the thing. This isn't just on you as an individual. The organization you work for plays a huge role in either encouraging this journey or, frankly, stopping it dead in its tracks. It all comes down to the kind of culture they build.
So what's the difference? Well, the old mindset sees training as just a box you have to check off. It's rigid. The new mindset, the learning culture, sees it as a living, breathing part of the job. It's about swapping out that dreaded phrase, "this is how we've always done it," for a much better question. How can we do this better?
Of course, none of this is easy. Let's be real. We all face challenges. There's never enough time, we're drowning in information, and sometimes the idea of learning one more thing just leads to total burnout. These hurdles are very real, for you and for your company.
But the good news is, we have this incredible set of modern tools and strategies that are designed specifically to break through those challenges and make learning way more effective and, dare I say, fun than it's ever been.
Yeah, the modern toolkit is so much more than old, dusty textbooks. We're talking microlearning for quick, bite-sized lessons, AI that can literally create a personalized learning path just for you, gamification to make it engaging, and collaborative platforms so we can all learn from each other in real time.
And this chart, this reveals a really critical truth about how we actually build skills. See that tiny little slice? That's formal courses. The huge majority of real learning happens by actually doing the job and by learning from our peers. That's exactly why just sitting in a classroom isn't enough.
Okay, so if we all agree that learning should be a continuous process, doesn't it make sense that the way we teach should also be continuously improving? Let's get a little meta here and talk about how to improve the improvement process itself.
This is called the plan, do, check, act cycle, and it's basically a feedback loop for making any kind of training better. First, you plan, you figure out what people need. Then you do, you deliver the training. But the most important part is next. You check to see if it actually worked, and finally, you act on that feedback to make the next one even better. It's a cycle of non-stop refinement.
But that whole check phase, it's tricky. I mean, how do you really truly know if a training program was a success? It's definitely not as simple as just asking people if they had a good time. Real success is measured on 4 totally different levels. So level 1 is the immediate reaction. Did people find it engaging? Did they like it? This is the easiest thing to measure, usually with a quick survey, but it's also the most superficial.
Next, you go a step deeper with level 2, learning. Did they actually walk away with new knowledge? You can test this with a quiz or an assessment to see if the information really stuck. But just knowing something, well, that's not the same as being able to use it.
Which brings us to level 3, behavior. And now we're getting to what really counts. Are people actually taking what they learned and using it back at their desks on the job? This is the bridge between knowing something and actually doing something with it.
And finally, level 4, the ultimate goal, results. Did the training lead to a real, measurable improvement for the business? Did sales go up? Did errors go down? Did customer satisfaction improve? This is the holy grail of training evaluation.
But here's the problem. To improve, you need honest feedback. And this is where the whole system usually breaks down. Check this out. Research shows that even if 80% of people are happy with a training, only a tiny 5% will actually say anything. And why is that? Because giving negative feedback can feel really unsafe.
And what that means is that real improvement is basically impossible without psychological safety. You have to create an environment where people feel genuinely safe to give open, honest, maybe even anonymous feedback, all without any fear of being judged. If you don't have that, you're just flying blind.
So all of this leaves us with one last really critical question to ask ourselves. With everything changing so fast, is the way you're learning preparing you for yesterday's world or for tomorrow's?